días, señor.
Amigo.
I need Mrs. Blake here.
Mi amigo.
Yeah, like I said, I might have
This is a
more.
copy, that's a copy.
I might have more, and I just took the folder and copied it.
There for a while, they were doing the famous word of the day.
Here's
They
the
have that-
R4, and that's over here.
Yeah, I've seen that, I've seen that. Yeah.
I got it. I shared some of them. I thought that's funny.
Every one of them is good.
That's on there. Game right there. Cumberland.
So Scott's flooring and AR flooring are the two that turned in proposals.
Wright's Furniture?
We got 3 proposals. I think we got 3.
Yeah. Wright's A&R and Scott.
Okay, there's Tyler, right?
For this part, I'll be up here. And then the other part, I'm going back.
You can stay for a while.
Thank you.
Oh, God. Well, everybody's here, right? Right. We'll call this committee meeting to order. We take a roll call. Do you remember, Jane? We take a roll call.
Maybe.
Okay.
Just write down who's all here.
Okay.
And, okay. This is Building Grounds Committee. Purpose of this meeting is to, we received several estimates on putting carpet in the annex building. We got several bids, and it's a little confusing, I guess, but basically, we got a first bid I got here is from Wright's Furniture Diedrich. They're gonna sell us the carpet and install it for a total of $23,463.61. Okay?
From who?
Wright's.
Wright's Furniture.
Okay.
We got another one here from, who is this? Here's also from Wright's Furniture, carpet only. $12,926. I have an estimate here from AR Flooring. Labor only, installation, these are happening, AR Flooring, $22,310.50. Then we have on here carpet only from Scott's Building Center of $16,673. I think those are the 4 bids we got, right? We got a couple people that we talked to that have not sent back a bid, an offer. Don't know if they're going to or not. The question, do we want to wait on them, or do we want to go ahead and approve this carpet site at this next meeting? At this
It's
table,
for your office there. Scott?
For this whole building.
Whole building?
all three, yeah, this office room probably too.
Yeah.
I assume it's
Yeah.
probably.
And they were all priced in the same product, same brands and everything, or?
Pretty well. Mohawk carpet, I think, Wright's was.
I think Scott's was a little different, wasn't it?
Scott's-
Because they didn't have what, right?
Scott's carpet that they quoted was different than the one that Wright's quoted. Scott's couldn't get the carpet that Wright's could get. So it is a different carpet, it is higher. The one that Scott's quoted is higher, or is higher per square. When Beth called Garber's to have them quote that same one, it's locked. It's locked in the system because Wright's has already quoted it. So Garber cannot get a quote on that same carpet. What we would have to do, Bev said, is go over to Garber's, look through their stuff to see if they had anything we would even want to look at, and then they would only quote the carpet because they outsource their installation.
Okay. You could get labor on that for them to install carpet.
The install here, it's the way I can get off the bed, is they only
They only do both
They
together.
only did the carpet, because they outsource outsource the labor for the installation.
Okay,
They have like 3 different guys who used to do installation for him.
gotcha.
So the only thing he would be able to quote would be carpet, and he can't quote that carpet because
It's locked in.
it's locked already with his rights of carpet. And I guess we're just in the same distribution area.
I see here that they don't, move shelving or filing cabinets.
Which one's that?
Somebody, I'm not sure, it doesn't really say.
So pretty much with A&R and with rights, what they had explained was our little stuff, like our computers, just, you know, like if you got plants in there, you got other just like little stuff sitting on the ground, that kind of stuff, your trash baskets, that kind of stuff, they're not gonna move that. But the way I understood it was your desks, that stuff to put underneath, they will move that and install underneath it. But, you know, Bev's got all the racks in here, we've got a vault that they basically built the building around down here, and they're just gonna butt up to it, just like they did before. They're not gonna move all that stuff that way to go underneath it, but, you know, like this here, our desks, they would move all that,
Well, it says,
all that.
they won't be able to move large filing cabinets. They're just gonna go up to that.
I'm wondering if the filing cabinets that they're considering, I don't know what they're considering as filing cabinets. Most of us don't have filing cabinets, like it's a full integrated system in your wall.
Right there, I'm wondering,
It's in
I
the
don't,
vault.
no, just right there.
Yeah, like that whole.
Yeah,
thing
I
on
don't
there.
think things gonna move out more.
So we'd have to move it, probably?
Which we have a dolly, and
Okay.
we also have maintenance
There's some,
too.
there's some guys on it, yeah. All right, so this, the difference between the carpets that from Scott's and, Wright's is about $4,000, maybe.
The A&R's labor, carpet removal with racks.
Scott's got, what, 4 different types of carpet here?
Was only one type carpet,
A, B, C, and D?
but I'm wondering if you have glue and all that. Is that all in there?
And this one here talks about the 24 by 24 inch square pads, the design, every tile, the voltage tile. It talks about adding each support line tree. Alright, so that's roughly, depending on which one you're looking at, it's,
I mean, so it's kinda like what Floyd was saying when he was laying them out, is Scott's can do the carpet, you have to find an installer. Then we have Wright's, we can do the carpet and we can find our own installer. Or Wright's has quoted for carpet and installation, which is basically in the end, you add the one installer we have, you're basically getting your carpet for free. Is what you're
Wright's,
doing.
right, that's right. Wright's got a bid here for 22,000, that's the total. Carpet and installation, we have another bid here for carpet only for 22,000. No, carpet only 16.
well, you got
Installation only.
David
which is
Trey
labor.
here,
Installation.
installing the carpet for 3,100, and you got, Scott's flooring at 10. I mean, that's 13,800.
Oh, that's a heck of a
Is that
price.
installation or is that just?
This is just carpet, but this is insulation. Dave Trigg, which lives in the county,
Mhm.
and Scott, so if you add the two together, that's $13,819.64.
And
Alright,
this,
That's
That's
what
$9,000.
I was gonna say, I didn't know they.
$9 grand.
So you got a bid here from Dave
I
Trigg
didn't see that.
for carpet.
I didn't see
You
that.
have
Those
that?
two together right there is,
Where'd that come from?
in my packet.
Okay.
I hadn't thought
I
of
know,
that.
it was in this folder and I copied it, so.
Is that what's in here?
So those two prices together beat,
Oh, yeah,
the other jobs.
and he's a local guy.
Both of them are local.
Oh, Scott's, yeah. That's right.
$3,000 for labor, put it in labor, Dave Trigg would do it for $3,000.
And that's the squares it says.
Where's the carpet, you got carpet there for $2,600. It says carpet on here also.
Yeah, you got two different ones, cause they didn't know what they bidded against, or what he's bidding on. So he put both in with, look.
Does he realize what he's bidding?
Well, he's way out of line.
Oh, he's been laying carpet all his life.
But I mean, does he realize
Says right
what
here.
it's for all?
I see a bid, Dave Trigg here for, that's the paper you got, right, Todd?
Yeah.
Carpet is $3,000, $105.
Well, not laying carpet, laying, the tile,
Okay.
24 by 24.
Oh, for 24 inch carpet square is $3,000. Carpet is $2,600. It's less to lay the carpet.
Well, I know, but I think we're better off doing squares.
Well, regardless, I don't think he priced the carpet right.
No,
$2,600.
I think those are his labor costs.
That's his labor cost, Kyle.
This is labor to install.
Okay, so one says,
Yeah, that's,
One
One's
says
for the
31
squares,
hours, then you
one's
gotta
for the-
put all that adhesive down for
Right.
the tile, which would take longer. And the carpet is $2,600.
that's the only lay,
to
that's
lay.
not for the carpet.
installation.
Right, just to lay. Says, road carpet would require file cabinets to be removed in order for the carpet to be installed.
And the demo of the old carpet is $650, which is pretty darn good.
Removal of the carpet.
Yeah, so he's gonna remove the old carpet for $650, so you're looking at,
These guys are 10,000.
37.
And he knows he's doing the whole building, right?
That's what I'm.
I don't know, you guys did this, not me.
I just.
I've known it since mine.
Okay, I
I'm not.
copied the stuff, I copied from the folder today, so.
So somebody got these bids.
Yeah, they come in-
Somebody submitted to them, and I'm sure that when they submitted the bid, they would have sent them this, explaining what's getting done. Clerk's office, new room 1, new room 2, 3, 4, meeting room, which is the treasurer's office, supervisor's office, and the county clerk, all, plus this room here. And they would have gotten this, I would think.
Can I call Dave Trigg right now and ask him?
Sure.
Is that outside of?
We need to know if he was planning on bidding on the whole thing.
Well, if you, yeah, I could, or we could put this on the agenda to.
No, we need to find out tonight, for him. And don't need to talk to him about pricing, just say the bid that he submitted was for the entire building,
For all the buildings,
for the annex.
That seems awfully cheap.
yeah, all the rooms.
How many square feet?
That's
It
what
was
I'm
like
looking for.
almost 4,000. I think one of your quotes had like 39
Does it
something.
say it on that paper?
Yeah, here it is,
But we're not-
36.
We're not trying to,
Just wanna make sure you're comparing
negotiate
apples
with
to
him, we're
apples.
just,
Yeah, make sure you realize what you did.
4 separate rooms. She gave me duplicates, I got 2 of
So I
everything,
don't have any of that.
so.
There's $3,000 for each, and there's $22,000.
You know, I'm not there in the ground.
I know.
I didn't copy you one.
Yeah, Dave?
I'm supposed to be here at 7:10.
Yeah, hey, this is Jonathan Kay. We're looking at your bid for, doing the carpeting, labor at, the annex down here in Toledo. Oh, really? Well, it's got your name on the paper, your phone number, and some numbers. It hadn't just happened in the last week. Couple weeks. So you don't know anything about it?
The only ones I knew about was Scott's booklet right
It
there.
says Dave Trigg, yes, sir.
Quote to install, rights for carpet and rights for the. So that's in there.
I don't know, but if it isn't you, you sure had a good number, so we were a little worried about you. Yeah. Oh, you're not even in the business?
I thought you retired.
You're retired?
And I don't even know if that was when we first did this grant, like 2 years ago.
All right, yeah, this is 400, 4,000 square feet in the annex building, you know, where, you pay your taxes and all that good
I
stuff.
realized that.
But I wondered if he quoted that back 2 years ago, and we were trying to get
we-
to file for that grant.
Well, we haven't done it, maybe this was an old bid, maybe you did this 20 years ago.
And it was.
Okay. That explains it. Holy cow, man. All right, well, we we sure liked your price 20 years later.
2014. Why am I getting all this stuff?
All right, yeah, thank you for clearing that up.
2014.
Alright. Well, that makes it interesting.
2014.
Have you got some 2000, you got a 2014 date on it?
Yes. Okay, this is 11/11/22.
Yeah.
A&R flooring.
The only ones I'm aware of is the A&R flooring for installation only.
Okay.
Scott's would have had a $16,000 bid that Floyd said for just the carpet, and I think the glue was in that. Wright's also quoted a different style of carpet, just carpet only, and then Wright's came back and also quoted again, carpet and installation.
And that one makes most sense, doesn't it?
So,
Are we willing to act on this at the next meeting, or you want more time for more people coming with more bids?
I know she had called Coles County,
those
Jake,
two figures.
Yeah, she called Jake's
So
Flooring.
this there's.
and they were,
And they were supposed to come in every
Carpet,
and they never showed up.
22.
It never showed up.
Well, they're saying this is installation only.
We'd have to go
This is
through
removal.
something else.
And then she called me Murphy's and was given
Installation of
John
tile.
from Poland Flooring, and they
3,900.
used Walt Custom Installing. Alex Mayer, I left a
Rated two.
voicemail message, and he never called back.
What about New Reed? What do you guys have?
This is the total,
New Reed?
That's who she
for the way I
called.
see it.
They never called back.
Installation,
They never
And
called.
and she was given John
any
from
work needed,
Poland
repairs,
Flooring.
prep,
They
service,
used Walt's Custom
removal.
Installation, Alex Mayer.
the whole shooting
She
sheet.
left a voice message with him, and he never
Yeah.
called back.
But it's only as carpet tiles, they don't have any just
I
carpet.
think that's fine.
We're not doing carpet, we're doing tile.
Yeah, the whole thing's tiles.
No,
Two
it's
to
all-
two.
So
We went
this
to
isn't
carpet
just
tile.
labor.
We're
That
looking
is
to
just
do-
labor.
Well, it says right here.
Yeah, we can, this bid, I guess. we do it for
Installation
90 days.
of carpet tile.
That is just to install, he does not have the carpet, he used to work for Wrights, he was a contractor for Wrights at one time, or still is, he laid the
Okay,
banks carpet.
installation of carpet tile material, so this is no material whatsoever.
No, that is just his labor to move
All right,
everything
well
and
then
stuff.
that answers that question. Okay.
Like I said,
And
the
was
end
this,
just
was this the
slowed
bid that
down.
she got originally, that we put her out to go get more? And then we're coming back to it at the end of it?
What she had before the last board meeting was Wright's quote for the carpet only,
Okay.
and A&R's quote for the installation,
Okay.
and that's all she had.
Okay,
Now
All right.
she's got
so it was
another
definitely
quote
worth
from
doing.
Scott's, and then she's got another quote from Wright's again, but it includes carpet and installation for 23.
So that was worth doing.
So basically, you're getting your carpet for free if you go with
Yeah.
them versus A&R, and then
Yeah,
somewhere
sure,
else.
I see.
Y'all
what
do
you're saying.
whatever you wanna do with that.
So what do you think, Todd, wanna wait on some more, give people more time to put more bids in?
Like I said,
What
she
do you
called
think,
Jake's,
John?
they were
Wait
supposed to
for
come
taking
down
all
and
these
do it.
bids?
I'd go with this, right, one, the
Yeah.
23.
Kyle, you know, what do you wanna, go ahead and do it?
Um,
Can't get much better bid, I don't see how.
I mean, we can keep trying if you
A
want.
couple of them will probably be, would be close maybe, but it's not gonna be much different, I'm sure.
All committee's gonna do is make a recommendation to, pick Wright's furniture, and then if something comes in, you can throw that out there at the meeting, and then the board can pick.
We'll do it this board meeting, and we'll act on it, probably, we should accept some bid at this meeting. So we don't wanna let us, we don't wanna discuss it in public and then put up for bids for some more, cause then everybody knows what the other bid is, and then that's not fair.
Yeah,
So we're gonna have to accept one of the bids that night, or
exactly.
That's fine.
we're gonna have to take one, okay, you understand that?
Yep.
We don't wanna,
So you have it on the agenda to
Okay, we
discuss
got
and
it.
take action.
I've got it on the agenda, right?
I think,
It's on the agenda,
yeah, I think the carpet was, yeah.
Harvey's on the agenda, okay, so we have these, basically these four bids to discuss that night meeting, we recommend you take that one from Wright, that's what the committee recommends, and hopefully the board will vote and pass it, right? Okay, end of the committee meeting, okay, we think we got, I couldn't believe that happened there.
Well, I
Wow.
didn't even look at the date.
Oh, the only other thing was the commode and the,
Oh, we're gonna talk about that.
Like I said, that might be one of the first topics.
Okay, what do you wanna talk
That
about?
was 2014.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had to get some quotes before we could
Well,
apply for that.
I was
Even
told
longer back than that.
that there are 2 restrooms in the jury room, and one of the toilets in one of the restrooms leaks, doesn't function. So they would like that to be repaired. So I don't know what the protocol is. I got ahold of Mitch, who does the maintenance there. The sheriff is aware of it, so is that as far as we go at our parts?
Yeah, Mitch should fix that
Mitch
one.
should take care of it, huh?
You said just a running toilet?
No,
Well,
it's
when you
leaking on
flush
the
it, it
floor.
leaks water on the floor.
Oh, we all go do that.
Yeah.
Put in
New
wax ring in it.
Yeah,
That's
wax.
not really our job, John, that goes to the maintenance and they take care of it. If they need to be hired, a plumber to come in and do it, I think that's the way we do it.
Okay, well, I mean, everybody's been notified, so
Okay.
that isn't a function of this committee. then?
I don't think so, yes, I don't think so.
Very good.
Okay?
I don't know what that.
Well, we,
Okay.
Yeah, that's all we do for the day. The sheriff, everybody knows about it, and hopefully, if it's not done, fixed in 2 or 3 weeks, we need to.
Oh, it's been months already.
why wouldn't,
That's what I'm asking.
I think it-
but you told Mitch to fix it?
Well.
That's what you need to do. Committee says that you call Mitch tomorrow and tell him to fix it.
I already called him, I let him know about it. I even told his wife, the poor gal, now she's gotta put up with me.
Okay, we need to brought to our attention, we will, if something don't happen, we will make sure don't do that again next time.
I mean, it would be useful, it was brought up to me, they made a good point that you don't want me to repeat on why they want it fixed, and, so.
Okay, that meeting, committee meeting's over. Now we're going on to we have a solar and wind committee meeting. All members are here.
I'm hoping Dick Murray was gonna be here, but he's not. Did anybody know time?
I guess I didn't, no, I didn't.
I bet, I kept meaning to call him and I never got around to doing it. Because did he ever come up with a plan for the road damage and how we were gonna do that? 'Cause that's very important.
I realize that. So, no, I don't know. Let's discuss what the others is, and I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe we can talk to a person who may come up with something before the meeting. I don't know, Todd, I didn't get that done right yet.
Well, one other thing is I did read where the state is going to probably pass, maybe pass. They were gonna set their own restrictions, and I'm sure you guys got all that because it popped up for the county board members.
I saw that.
They're
They're overrule our.
gonna overrule all counties
Ordinances.
in the state of Illinois with whatever setbacks they want as the maximum, or minimum, depending on whichever.
Mhm.
So, whatever we talk about or do may be overwritten, overruled.
But we're gonna do it anyway, right, Todd? You're the right ordinance anyway.
We're gonna do what we want, yeah.
Let's do it, and if we get overruled, well,
Yeah.
we'll at least try. Okay, so,
Cause they may have a setback of 50 feet, we may want 100 feet. Well, if they pass, then it's gonna have to go to the 50 feet because they'll override us.
okay, we discussed these 2 ordinances the other day, the wind energy, is there any changes on that, what we discussed then, or have we got it settled, or did we?
Well, I would like to do the minimum setback to 100 feet.
Currently, it's, suggested at 300 feet.
Correct. That's one that I was looking at. Because I think that if we're gonna do 300 feet,
You're on wind right
I'm on wind, I'm going back,
now. Well, you said wind.
I'm sorry,
Let's do wind.
let's do wind, forget what I just said, never
Okay,
mind.
so I think that's not gonna work.
No, because your tower's taller than that.
Yeah, me confused, okay.
Yeah.
If we're on wind, what is their setbacks?
1.5 times the height. Which I'm fine with that.
What page is that on?
Right
Front
first,
page,
right here,
Oh, okay. Oh,
right in the middle.
so it's your setback, we were 1.5 times the height from public roads, okay? We good with that?
Can I ask a question on that one? I really haven't. Is it the height measured to the generator or the tip of the blade?
Tip of the blade.
Okay, just curious.
yeah, that's where I've always figured it would be tip of the blade, but.
The highest,
It is
the highest point,
It's
right?
tip of the blade.
Okay, so, there's no problem there.
Who wrote this?
We took it out of some other counties.
added and subtracted.
So we don't have a road use agreement yet with our county engineer. do we?
That's one thing we, are lacking.
Definitely gotta have that.
Actually, just to check, what is the actual verbiage on your thing say for the height?
1.5 times height from public roads. Residential or private use towers are subject to the setback rule of 1.5 times the height from public roads.
Okay, so some of them say, they'll be explicit, and they'll say like tip height or maximum height or something like that, 1.5 times, I've seen that before. So, but yet, I've
One and
never
a half from tip height.
tip height or top rotor height or something, they'll say something to make it.
Probably needs to be in there.
I haven't
Then they'll
seen,
argue generator height, tip height.
yeah, I haven't seen any ordinances that do the height of the, generator, that's, I mean, or the nacelle or anything like that, I've never seen that
Like we were
before.
1.5 times the tip height or?
Tip height.
Max height.
Tip height.
Tip height, okay, you got it,
That's fine.
tip height, or from public roads, I just have form.
Now, this down here talks about tower tip height in the setbacks, in, J/B. Tower should be set back at least
Setback.
1.5 times, the tower tip height from property lines of non-participating property owners.
You got an extra one here if
The
anybody wants to
owner
see it.
of that land that is
I
a
have-
non-participant can waive that right.
I appreciate it.
But, that'll be up to the two landowners.
You want,
Yeah, so.
Uh,
do you want a copy? I can make a copy.
No, thank you.
I don't know,
I wouldn't mind
something
to
should
get
be
it.
probably added in there too, is it just talks about setbacks from roads, but we probably ought to have a setback of 1.5 tip height from a house.
Yeah.
I don't see that in here at all.
Not in here,
How about the building, not necessarily a house?
Yeah.
Anything.
any structure.
Pool
Any
house.
structure.
Structures, yeah.
Well, that's what they had in the other one. They talked about pool house.
Is that for Pirate County? Did you hear they're doing a big one up there? Well, I think I might have told you about that.
I don't know, I don't remember.
Yeah, 160,
Oh, yeah, you said that.
yeah, over 34,000 acres. It can do 10,000 homes a year.
Anybody taking notes on that house too? Tammy, did you take a note on adding the house to the tip height?
From any structure.
So many primary, it says in here, towers shall be set back 1.5 times with power tip height from any primary structure, it says right here.
Oh, where's that at?
First paragraph of setbacks J, first paragraph.
Okay, over the.
From any primary structure.
That should be good enough, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Could I have a copy? I think I might need it before I leave. If it's not too inconvenient.
No, it's not. I just got my copy.
If I want both, Tammy.
Yeah, I got both of them.
Okay.
Could you make me a copy while you're at it?
Yeah.
Oh, she will, okay.
Did he get a copy?
He got one.
Yeah.
I have a solar,
Solar, can we get 3 more winds and
2 more solars?
2 solars?
Sorry.
Jenny, did you hear that? Yeah, 3 and 2 solars.
Okay. Okay,
So I don't need to write the house,
no,
because it's already in
It's in there.
so the only change so far is that on that first page,
the
right?
setback of 1.5.
Yeah, and it probably doesn't need to be in there because we already showed it back here on the tip height.
Okay, so you'll need to change that first page here.
So we don't have any changes.
No changes, no changes.
I guess my question goes, going down the road too fast.
Okay, that's setbacks, we think is done.
Post-well inspections. all that's for driving piling and stuff. They don't really drive pilings for, solar, or not solar, windmills, do they just auger it out?
I don't remember.
Put a big pad of concrete in there.
It's a mess.
Big bunch of men. Yeah, I wouldn't think they put, I wouldn't know why they put pile in. That shouldn't be that, that should be pretty, that would state, I don't think I'd have to do that. I'm sure they do it right, wouldn't they? An inspection of all done, piled already? Yeah, they would do that. I got people state that they do that much. But I don't know.
Tom, do you have a hand in the public roads part? Looks like they covered it pretty well.
I just said that, I know I have not property, where's it at?
Use of the time, public roads, within your solar funds. It's good.
Oh, that, yeah. I think that, Dick had, about a 10-page. Yeah. Which, you know, that's, to me, that's probably the most damage that's gonna be, occurred in the townships in the county is road damage. Cause I hear,
It will destroy it.
I hear what they're doing in other counties with winds and solars and, wow.
You gotta redo that again.
Yeah.
Just completely, depending on the size,
Which,
but
some of the counties I heard when they were planning on doing the wind mills, a lot of the townships were getting brand new bridges because they had to take the crane across them and they didn't get specs, so the company bought them new bridges.
yeah, I mean, they have to.
Yeah.
Do we have
The
any,
townships actually, and that aspect came out way ahead, especially when they're gonna have to repair the road to your specs when they're done. I mean, it's kinda like oil wells, on Harry Daters as well. That was a free flower, that's pulling a tanker a day out of there. And on, Saturday and Sunday, they didn't run, so Friday and Monday, they ran 2 loads. Well, it's springtime, so I called Harry, and I said, Harry, I'm gonna shut your truck off. He says, you can do whatever you want, Todd. I said, okay, I just wanted to tell you, first. He says, I'm behind you 100%, you do whatever you want to do. So I called the company up, and I said,
Thank you.
we're shutting you off. You can't do that. If you shut off a free flower, it could stop free flowing, we'd have to put a pump on it. And you could ruin it. And I said, well, I said, you can pay the township $60,000, because that's what it's gonna take to fix that mile of road, and I'll let you haul year round. President called me back, said, let me write you a check. And we did. We put millions on that year, and,
That's a good road.
filled that whole road in, and it's like probably one of the best roads in the township.
It's a good road, yeah. It's a good road. Okay, well, okay,
do we have any projects of windmills that are being,
There is, some cost,
what part of the county?
over by me. They've never contacted me, but, they have talked to, Gary Hatton and, I think it's a Todd Shoemaker. They own land together, and they were talking about putting a windmill in between the two of them.
that's that field right straight north of your house, and then.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's Tachi Maker.
Just one windmill?
Well, no, I don't know, I'm just talking about what those 2 landowners had told me.
Well, they put big windmills now, and they want 80 or 160 acres on one windmill. They don't put any, one on every 20 acres. These big ones, at least 80 acres for one windmill. I think.
So, and they would have had that.
Can I ask a question? You're awful close to something I think should be supervised or whatever. You're saying that they're trying to lease these farms, that's fine, but I feel like they ought to at least come to the county board, tell them what their intentions are or what they would like, and tell us how much is affecting us. I mean, for example, I think if we add up how many acres are wanting to put into solar in Cumberland County, you will be surprised the acres they're trying to get. I mean, it's big acres.
Yeah.
Very large acres. I think before they can come in and promote and lease land, they should at least come forward to you folks, saying this is our project, this is what we want to do. You can't start or stop them, but this way you would know what's going on in our county.
Like have a town hall meeting?
I don't know, just come in front of you
Well-
folks and just say, this is what we're doing.
Here's how I see it, if, your neighbor offered you 40 acres beside your house, are you gonna notify all your neighbors that that land's for sale before you buy it?
I don't see any,
Hell no, you're not.
I don't see any correlation at all with that.
I do,
Well,
because they're
Listen,
negotiating,
we're just talking 40 acres. These other people are.
okay, let's say they wanna sell it to 3,000 acres. Are you gonna tell all your neighbors if that's for sale?
Yeah, but there's several different, they're not all one company doing it, there's probably, how many different companies out here trying to run solar? 3, 4 different companies?
I only know of 3, but I know there's more than that.
More than 50, there's a lot of companies, so
But
one company,
my point is, these things are affecting the ground, your 40 acres.
Yeah.
This doesn't just affect that person. It affects 30, 40 people, 140 acres does. I mean, we're gonna have to look at these sons of a bitches.
Yeah, so tell me how it does affect those 30 or 40 people, 'cause, I mean, you're right, it does.
I mean,
I don't see how do you see it, what do you mean how, I
That's
don't see
what
it
I'm
affecting
curious, how
30
does it,
people.
what's the other 30
I don't
at?
see how it affects 30 people, Gary. Well, how does,
okay,
just by looking
yeah,
at it,
in our neighborhood, for example, if they get their wish,
yeah.
there's gonna be enough of homes for sale. I'm gonna move away, I'm not gonna look at the sons of box.
Okay.
I mean, my daughter-in-law says, I'm picking up moving, I ain't looking at that.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
I mean, and then I can tell you, people, you go up to Kansas, you got these houses that are surrounded by, they just have a 4 or 5 acre piece.
Mhm.
They love to sell their home, no one will buy it.
Ooh, yeah, all right.
So it affects property values, and
Yes.
that affects the houses all around.
But they did a study on it, and that's actually, it's not very much at all on value.
What, 3%?
People-
It's less than that.
People blow.
1%?
I know my daughter-in-law's not gonna move, but
So
she's not gonna have one right up against her either right now, as far as I know, we're gonna have at least a quarter-mile buffer.
It would make a big difference on value. A lot of people,
You're not gonna move a lot in the house, nobody's gonna buy it.
I believe too, you're not $100,000 off a house real quick, in my opinion.
Oh, I don't believe
You don't think so?
Well, who's using this electricity? Is this for our benefit, or are they gonna ship it off to New York City?
That's
that. Well, the way I understand it is,
It ain't gonna go very far, cause there ain't that much of it.
Oh,
I can answer that. It just typically speaking, it goes into the grid, and it's sold hither and thither. I mean, where whoever's buying whatever, it's not like, what's it? Imagine you got a big vat of water, right? Like just a big tank. You got 100 hoses going into the tank. You got 100 hoses coming out of the tank. Each person that wants water has their own hose. Each person that's providing water is pouring into their own hose. With the water being electrons, if the analogy was told up here, you kind of don't know where that power's going. Now, you can have situations where a company could create a deal where they're selling, on the market at a specific price to a specific entity. That does happen, but a lot of times, most of these projects, I would say, are just being sold to the grid operators who sell it where it is needed. And typically speaking, that's gonna be, I wouldn't say it's always used super locally, but it's pretty expensive to transition power super far.
that's what I'm saying, you're not gonna push electricity to New York from here.
You made the comment, they're not gonna make very much electricity.
They'll make as much electricity as the size of the project is.
Well, yeah, but per acre, it's not making a lot.
How many acres of solar panels does it take to replace the Newton power plant?
Oh,
Well, how many megawatts does the Newton power plant produce?
I can't.
We could probably look it up.
I'm guessing
Here
close
pretty
to
soon
half,
it's gonna
half
be
become
around
county.
zero, ain't it?
Yeah, cause all coal stations are shut down and,
We can't let that go. We cannot let them
Well-
shut down our coal plant.
Now,
They're
I've
going
said,
to, and we have no control over that except
What is it,
right
20?
there in our politics.
it's not too far off.
We gotta
What, do you
show
know
up
anything
with
about that?
guns on that
This,
one.
I mean, I could look up what an acre of, I find it very frustrating that they're shutting power plants down personally. That's my take on it. I don't agree with it at all. I think it's
Yeah.
psychotic. But you need power and, you know, wind turbine produces an amount of power, and I don't know if it's gonna be sufficient to replace a coal plant or not. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I think we all wanna go home and turn our lights on.
How much, do you have any idea how much electricity 1 acre with solar will make?
I'll Google search for you. I'm off the top of my head, I don't know.
I'm
Well,
told,
7 to
You've been in-
10 acres makes a megawatt, is roughly
How much?
7 to 10 acres makes
A
a
megawatt of solar panels.
1 megawatt.
Yeah, solar panels.
but that's only 30% of the time, am I right?
No, well, how do you figure that, Todd? Per year or per?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure they've already got that calculation figured in, because my question was, how many acres does it take to produce that? And I'm sure they're based it on a yearly type.
Oh, in a year it would produce 10 megawatts.
No, I'm saying, well, that I don't know yet either.
See, that's what bothers me about the whole solar. Nobody knows a goddamn thing. You can ask them a question, you've been in solar a long time, right, sir?
Yeah, I have.
And that should be right on the top of your head, that's what that, not that.
Well,
It
okay, the
takes
reason I
79
don't have that
solar
as
workers to
easily
produce the
is
same amount of electric power as one coal worker.
I worked in
What was
commercial
that?
solar, so it was mostly rooftop, so we weren't dealing in
79?
acres.
It takes 79 solar workers to produce the same amount of electric as one coal worker.
And we are on the Saudi Arabia of coal right here. I mean, we really can't let. that
Oh,
go.
I know, I mean, it's crazy, but that's what our government's doing.
Yeah, what are we gonna do? I mean, I'd rather see, go to experiment with nuclear more.
Oh, yeah, I'm
I
definitely
mean,
not nuclear.
Will you hear what
But-
France did?
But what can we do?
What's that, Terry? Tell us.
France,
We've done-
France and Germany.
Hey, hold it.
Not,
The guy has the floor here. Terry has the
I
floor.
don't care.
no, that's all right.
France and Germany, you research. Germany went big time solar and wind.
Yeah.
France looked at it and let the people vote. They said, forget it, nuclear. Their cost per whatever it is a third to half of what Germany's is in
Yeah.
electricity now, and that's about 10 years in the run.
Yeah. And nuclear is green energy, so it solves all the problems, but people are scared of it, but nuclear would definitely be the way to go.
I don't know if you believe what TED, you heard of these TED programs that
TED
they,
Talks?
Hmm?
TED Talks?
yes. If you believe some of those people, they'll tell you that the death, even you put the two nuclear bombs together and all that into Chernobyl, the death loss is not that great to nuclear compared to what they get off on out. I mean, birds lost in windmills and whatever, but. What I wanna, you went back, I am told, in order to replace the Newton power plant, it takes 9,000 acres of solar panels. That's when they're working. Now then, we had a Savion meeting. They let us come in, they fed us food, and we sat there and we asked a lot of questions, and these were farmers and landowners. A couple of questions that come up is, A, where are solar panels made? They did not want to answer that. They finally said it was Southeast Asia,
Right.
so China. Where are solar panels? Where do you get rid of them? And Ted agrees with this one. I mean, every speaker says, we only one place, and only one place only, we can get rid of solar panels, and that is Africa. The
Really?
only company that will accept them.
Africa.
So something's out, I mean, they say they're not that bad, but there's something about it.
Oh, there's-
Well, let's talk about farming then. Where's your chemicals made at, and where's your fertilizer made at? Sure is it made here?
Fertilizer, most of your fertilizer is made in this country, folks. Not nitrogen, but phosphorus is.
What about your nitrogen?
It's made from natural gas.
Nitrogen is, there's about half of it imported.
But it's not a deadly product. I mean, I wouldn't be afraid to lay down beside a pile of nitrogen in fertilizer.
Nitrogen's in the ground naturally.
It's natural.
The only thing bad about fertilizers are salts.
So they're not-
Potash and phosphorus and all that, the salts, the bad.
They're not a deadly product, fertilizer.
But the salt is, I mean, I'll give you credit, salt,
Can't put enough on.
but the salt's a carrier. But I'm told it takes 9,000 acres, and this is what come out at the SAP, and I was trying to lead up to one question that was asked. You know, I've beat my head against the door to the promoter, says, where's your batteries going? Where's your batteries? There are a few batteries that run the tilt part of a solar panel, but they will tell you right now, they have no idea where the batteries come from. We have no battery we want to use. There is nothing, so in that meeting, finally, they had 2 engineers there, says, we have not found a battery we will use. So of a night, guess what you're gonna do?
Turn on the coal.
Coal's gonna go. Cloudy days, coal's gonna help. The coal thing and the natural gas thing is, see, solar's, you know, it's not consistent. Coal plant's a little hard. I mean, it has a time, you gotta have time for them to build up your heat. The gas is pretty fast responding, but there's these things, this gutter. Okay, and what percent of the,
Just to give you some efficiency facts on this study, solar panels is 15 to 20% efficient. Coal has an efficiency up to 40%, and natural gas reaches up to 60%.
Can I actually respond to that?
Sure.
So efficiency is an important metric, but when you're talking about efficiency, you're talking about what percentage of the sunlight's energy is getting converted into power, right? So only 20% of the energy hitting a solar panel goes from, I guess, light to or heat. Well, solar panels, actually a solar panel, if you go up to a solar panel, it's cooler than the surrounding area because it's actually sucking energy out of that light, if that makes sense. So the light can't heat up the panel as much as it would. In fact, that's a way you can find a dead solar panels. You can go out with an infrared camera and you can look around the field, and whichever one is the hottest solar panel, you know, that's the dead one, you can go repair it. It's just an interesting fact there. But efficiency, you could say that a solar panel was 5% efficient, it could be 80% efficient. At the end of the day, if you weren't capturing any of that sunlight, there was no power coming out of the light, right? So the fact that you're capturing any percentage of power coming from the sun and turning it into electrical is I think it's very interesting that happens. So the efficiency rating of, you go, okay, well, what's the total efficiency of coal? Well, at some point, a plant captured some sunlight, turned that into sugars, and then those sugars over time got crushed into long carbon chains, and then someone dug that up, and then you burn that. So it's really hard to say, well, what is the efficiency of coal if you're measuring it that way? Because when you're measuring how much power is actually captured directly out of the photon in the solar panel, it's 20%, which doesn't look super high, but it's pretty amazing you're able to go straight from light to electrical, if that makes sense. So I'm not sure that, I just find those numbers to be a little bit disingenuous.
Yeah, I didn't read into the study, but just at a glance is what it said.
You didn't convince me, I'm still for coal, and.
I'm for nuclear.
Oh, to be totally clear, just so you're aware, I am not against any other form of energy. I work with the Conservative Energy Network. Our stance is not like a environmental stance or something like that. We're just believe in energy competition, so we like to see wind and solar have the ability to basically not get banned. We want to see them if they can get built. I think it's better to have power coming from wind turbines than no power being generated. That's my kind of the beginning and middle and end of my views.
My biggest fear of all of this is, I don't care solar, I don't care wind, nuclear, coal. Bottom line is, the further you have to transfer energy, no matter what, the more expensive it's gonna be. Just like any other commodity, period. And if that price gets too outrageous, we're gonna be without power. It's that simple. And people will not be able to actually afford it. So, with our current political people in office now, you can pretty much kiss coal goodbye and probably nuclear right now. Just a fact. I don't like it. Obviously, we're gonna go to the ballot to vote. But
Only way to solve that problem is to run out of electricity for about 3 weeks in winter time. Then politicians will say, well, maybe we need to bring coal back. That's the only way.
Well, they already had that problem in Texas.
That's just it, the grids are
And did they do
failing,
anything by it?
No.
and
Well,
the people's
eventually
gonna
they
pay
will,
more.
Todd. I mean,
So my
after a
whole
while, they
point,
will catch on.
my whole point of this though is that in the scope of things, if everyone said no to solar and wind and everything like that, and we never did get the coal going again, didn't get the nuclear, didn't get any of that going, well then guess what? It's too late, and you're without energy. That's my fear.
What happened?
This is a very small point, but they are developing solar panels to increase their efficiency a bunch. They've always just caught the sun from above. They've learned that they can pick it back up after it bounces off the dirt, so they're running them on both. The newer ones are gonna be
Double-sided.
double-sided.
We installed some of those on some commercials, solar a few years ago. It's very interesting.
I just thought that's one thing, the reason it's hard for building new ones that are consuming for the ones that are running, they want to change them real fast so they're more efficient.
Okay, any other comments? We
Yeah,
still want to do our,
Are these, windmills and solar fields subsidized by the government?
Absolutely.
So what happens when the subsidy goes away?
Well, if they're built already, they should continue to operate. And it isn't free to operate these things. I mean, I was an operations and maintenance director. That's what I did for the last few years I worked with the company. And again, it was all commercial stuff. It wasn't this big utility scale stuff. But my job was to go out, as I mentioned, find with a hotspot detector, infrared camera, and go fix those things. But all of that maintenance costs are built into the price of these things. So, I personally believe that renewables can be competitive even without the subsidies. It's not the direction the government has gone in. I'm a fiscal conservative, so I'm not a big fan of the subsidies. They exist right now. They get built. They operate for 20 years. And if I'm right and they are competitive, you'll see new operators want to come in and build new renewable projects. If they weren't, they probably get torn down and they go away. I think that would be what would happen. But they should operate for 20 years. I mean, once they're built, they're built. 20, 30, maybe more.
You're completely with residential, you're not getting into the company MISO. You know who MISO is?
Yes, I do.
Have you ever dealt with them?
A little bit, but not directly.
MISO is a company that regulates, if I want on a power line, you have to get approved. And that only occurs once a year, and that's October 1st. They only meet to approval. So like our solar, Savion wanted 1,500 acres. That was the minimum acres they would have been happy with. And then they went to the power company and say, hey, we want on here. That's when they get their tax money. It's called tax credits, as they get on those power lines.
Who gets it? MISO?
No,
power plant, but the solar plant.
I would like to say Savion, but as of yet, I've yet to find one company that actually went and promoted a solar field and actually seen it through in a product. I mean, they'll promote it, they'll sell it off to Joe Blow or something, another company that builds it. Well, the one in Kansas has had 3 owners already.
Really? 3
So,
owners? They had 3 owners already? Does the first owner go bankrupt or just off and sell anyway?
I don't think anybody went bankrupt. They're the promoters.
Yeah?
They promote it, then they sold it to a firm to build it. The builder sent it to someone to manage it.
Right. Okay.
You ask Savion, they've been in business 20-some years doing this stuff. Have you ever finished a project? No.
Really?
They have got one that's real close though, in Arizona, a 30,000 acre one, that they will probably keep hold of. I'm told. Is there anything there you have to correct me on?
No,
myself?
energy developers are constantly, even gas plants are often changed hands. I mean, they're a commodity.
I kind of look at like it back in my younger days, which is, I was just a kid, like oil promoters.
Yeah.
I mean, they promoted it, then a different guy drilled it. Now then we have these people that really see the.
So, Greg, what do you think about these solar and wind farms here in Cumberland County?
I'm not prejudiced.
You're what?
I'm not in favor
You're
of
not
it.
in favor of it?
I'm totally against them. I want to go corn beans.
Yeah.
Here's my problem is, it's kind of like David and Goliath. I mean, I could come up with a better example, but you can't believe anything these people tell you.
Well, it is Democrat pushed program, it's
Yes.
subsidized.
An example of
It's
that,
Chinese manufactured product, I mean, now, I don't trust them, but, you know, is it the way of the future? Are we gonna have enough control, are risks mitigated enough to where, we're not gonna get burned, it's not gonna hurt the taxpayers of the county, you know, as well as the landowners who are, having them placed on their land, so, I mean, there are a lot of variables.
until I heard what went on at the Farm Bureau annual meeting, there was some discussion. I guess the collar counties around Chicago are being hit hard with this. I just kind of thought we were, and the reason we're being approached, attacked, is power lines. I'm sitting right on the one that goes from the coal station, Newton's power station to the big substation up here on 40. And then there goes through a couple others, but that's why they're wanting where they want it. You know, NYSO, let them on these power lines. I mean, they gotta have their power line. If you don't have a power line in your neighborhood, you're pretty safe, I think.
So what do you do for a living?
I farm,
You farm?
yes.
Okay. And then how many acres do you rent and how many acres do you own?
Let's just put it this way, I'm looking at losing 1,000 to 1,200 acres, and it's none of it's my own,
So I can see why you're against it.
yes.
But now your landowner, let's say, I'm gonna get pretty nosy here.
No, you know, I'm not
Do
mentioning
you
names.
cash rent or you do percent share? How do you do your rent?
All the above.
All the above, okay. So some of the numbers I've been hearing is anywhere from 1,400 an acre is what these companies are offering. What are you paying for your cash rent?
Let's just put it this way. When I started farming, high cash rent was $100 an acre.
I'm asking you today.
Let me tell my
Well, the
story.
new average for the county is a little over 200, according to USDA. Office over here, so
So
you're getting between 200 and 240 to
for
240.
the county to not put restrictions and regulate this so strictly that they're not allowed to build.
I'm not asking that, I just,
We are allowing our own
people to make their decisions.
landowners an opportunity to make a decent living.
But I'm afraid that the
Who's paying
term,
the taxes on it? I mean, who?
The landowner
To buy it, like, it should be their decision.
Exactly.
well, once you sign a contract, the taxes are paid by the Savion or whoever,
Only a percentage of it.
100%. It's in the contract.
Well, the contract I've read, the landowner will still pay what he's paying now, and then any difference on panels, they would pay.
We want them to pay 100%.
Well, that'd be nice if they would.
You say, Terry, you're saying they pay 100%?
Now, what he's probably picking up on is saying if I have a house and an 80, I'm still gonna have my house taxes, but the real estate taxes, basically the figure that's tillable, or what ASC figure, that is 100% theirs, and I don't like it because then therefore, let's say they didn't pay their taxes one year.
Yeah.
It could go to tax sale and, get kinda hairy, but
Well,
I understand. I've
now,
talked-
let's back up on that, because these banks that loan the money to these people, it's just like a person loaning money to a guy that buys a house. They watch those tax sales, and they're not gonna allow that house, real estate, to go to a tax sale. That bank will come in and buy it themselves.
well, I also talked to, I
Guaranteed.
think, don't you work in this office here? Yeah. I think somebody there told me that basically if that would occur, I would probably be notified that was going to happen before it actually went to the tax board. I mean,
What could you do
That
about
would
it?
actually be mine.
Nothing.
cause you realize the tax liability they're gonna have per acre?
I was
Oh,
just
yeah.
talking about it, he was just talking about it.
I had the county assessor sent it to me today.
$24,000
If I read this right,
Per acre.
per acre for the taxes, real estate taxes.
I think it's,
You couldn't afford that, Terry.
nope,
No, you couldn't.
but I don't know if you're aware, there is a big legal document that the state of Illinois makes for these. I mean, you sign a contract with Savion, but then there's also a contract you sign with the state of Illinois, which states how to be cleaned up, how they're supposed to set their protective agreement. My opinion on that is, okay, today it takes X number of dollars to clean up a solar field. 40 years from now, that won't cover it.
In our, and it's in our solar part, every 5 years that will be reassessed.
Oh, really?
That's our county specs. Every
Does
5
that
years it'll
override
be-
the state one? I mean, that's something, see, they had that, you need to read the state, I don't know, I've got it at home.
Well, that I don't know, but in ours, we're requesting every 5 years that it be reassessed, and then they would have to have the funding bonds or whatever to change every 5 years. Or was it 3 years?
I think,
Oh, that sounds.
I think they would do it every 3 years.
Because just like you said, 30 years from now, we have no idea what costs are.
You asked me what I do and how this is affecting me. I have 2 grandsons that are grade school. They went to us to that meeting, and the lady says, well, we've put on a number of these, we've never had any kids come to these. My son says, well, you know what, this in this room is gonna affect him more than anybody else in this room.
Yeah, well, I know, it's scary.
I mean, they were just there for observation, but it's the fact.
But it's
Well, you're right,
also-
but
it's gonna
we can
affect
just
my,
go back and forth, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
You can literally come back and say the exact same thing for the landowner.
Yeah.
That, wow, he just made out great and.
and they're gonna give their
He's saying his
grandkids extra money.
grandkids college, like,
But,
you
you know,
can
I
go
didn't
back
get
and
to-
forth.
I didn't finish my story about my cash rent story. When I started farming, it was $100. Today, I consider it 400. It's the 400 a day, what's it gonna be in 47 years? I got a feeling it will be over 1,000. Do you think I'm probably wrong, Floyd, in 47 years?
You're gonna make no predictions.
I'm just using that as an example.
All I know is the price of
We
land.
have no idea.
I know, I
Price of
don't.
land, price of land is.
But just like he said, it's a
Crazy.
double-edged sword. You're gonna have some people that are renting the ground, that's gonna hurt, and you're gonna have the landowner or whoever is gonna benefit.
I guess the way to look at this board here is, you know, if you get 10,000 acres in this county, look at the money, the tax dollars you're gonna get.
It's unreal, it's unreal.
I think it's easily gonna be obtainable if it happens, I'm not sure it's gonna happen. But I mean, today I learned of a new one, I didn't know what was going on the west side of the county. So
What was that?
somewhere on the center line road, they're working on one.
On solar? I hear stories, I don't know what's going on.
Well, that's the thing, we hear stories, I just wish there was a way that,
Well, that company was actually here at the last meeting.
were they?
Yeah.
Did it
And
say much,
answer questions.
did it
Yes.
say much about the plan, how big they were gonna be, or did it say?
Well, why would anybody tell them, I don't understand why you think a business should tell their plan when they've got 2 other companies trying to compete against them. Why would you,
Well, partly because you come in this area, you're gonna do 10,000 acres, and another company come here, and they don't know that, and they figure they're doing 10,000 acres, well, they can't, they're in competition with each other. They need to communicate with each other.
No, it makes sense for them to be in competition because then it raises the price, doesn't it?
No, one will leave, let the other
No,
have
it won't, not
doesn't
necessarily.
leave, let that have that.
Those are double blade
To a
shoulders.
point, and then they'll leave. but
Right.
they'll-
Okay.
They'll find it out.
Okay, any other comments, where we at here?
Well,
We
uh,
done with it?
I don't know.
Did you have
if I-
something else you wanted to add? I know you're jumping at the bit.
Oh, no, I don't think, maybe I did, but it's gone
Don't
now.
remember. Okay.
The only thing that we gotta put in here is the road stuff.
Are you still on wind?
I don't know what matters, wind or solar.
I
Wind-
agree.
Wind or solar
Both.
on the,
I'm
on the
just-
roads. And I talked to Dick about it a long time ago, but I think that we should take it out of the county's hands and put it into an independent engineering firm to actually go out and look at the roads and do an assessment
Before and after.
before and after. And then they would have the calculations saying, this is what's been done, this is what needs to be repaired. Because if you have the county engineer do it, they're gonna take you to court, say, no, we're not paying that much. Where if you have both companies, the county and the, whatever entity puts up the windmill or the solar panel, agree to a certain firm, and then they use it.
Who would pay for it?
They would,
But who would split it?
nope, The company that's putting in the stuff would have to pay for all of it,
Um,
no expense to the county.
I meant for the engineer's advice. The
They're-
engineer, who's gonna pay the
That
engineer?
company would, that would be in the paperwork that they would have to pay for that too,
Okay. I don't know how expensive that would get.
doesn't matter. That's something that I think they would have to do.
Okay. Well, what would Dick think? You mentioned that to Dick, or didn't you?
That's his idea.
Well, that's his idea. Yeah,
What about a dividend to the taxpayers of the county for using electricity? Kind of like what they did up in Prudhoe Bay up in Alaska. They started pumping all that oil. They gave 25% to all the citizens of Alaska.
Well, how does their land system work? Is it the same as here?
I'm sure it's not private property.
There you
It's
go.
just Alaska.
If it's a government owned, then, yeah, I'd see divvying out, you know, but, the way I see it, if I own that 40 acres, I also own the mineral rights, why would I wanna give my oil money
Maybe,
to the county? Well,
maybe you do. Maybe
you know, when
don't.
they were talking years ago about putting that facility up there in Coles County and injecting, I can't remember what it was.
Carbon sequestration.
Yeah,
sequestration
I saw the
is
maps
in-
on that, and that almost covered the whole state of Illinois.
Yeah.
There's a cavity at a certain level,
Yeah.
and they was just gonna fill it.
Yeah.
And that ticked me off, because I feel like I should own it all the way down, even into China.
And in the big city, they sell air rights. So at what point do air rights come into play? Like, can you run drones over other people's houses? So, yeah, I mean, at some point, you know, everything can be measured and everybody, somebody controls it. So, you know, it'd be nice if the taxpayers, the citizens got a dividend.
But they will get a dividend.
And higher taxes.
No. If these panels come in and they pay $23,000 for this 40-acre field, when the farm ground's only saying 515 on average, and now you're gonna generate 23,000, me and Jenny talked about earlier, we're under P-TEL, so when you add that to the assessed valuation, your rate's gotta come down,
Mhm.
which means they're gonna be paying this, the rate comes down, so all our property will be lowered big time.
Mhm. That makes
So
sense.
there's your dividend.
Jenny, you haven't said anything about solar and wind. Do you have any, opinion?
I don't know anything about solar and wind. It doesn't affect anything that I do.
Okay.
So we need something about the roads and that wind done, right? The roads. We get that in between the now and Tuesday night's meeting, or we,
I'll talk to him.
why don't you talk about it, see if we got some kind of half simple, maybe kind of solution to it, okay? Okay, are we done then with the wind?
I see one thing here on this solar on the second page, K.
That's what we're getting on that solar.
Just a minute, we'll get it in a minute, okay? Okay, we're on the solar, everybody got a solar book in front of them? Well, what do you think, any changes from this?
Just, the setback, I'd like to see, at 100 feet.
What page you on?
I'm on the second page, G. And the reason I say that is, you know, people out in the country, for instance, if they wanna build close to my property, then now I'm gonna get penalized if I wanna put panels up, because now I've gotta stay 300 feet back from their house, because they chose to build right on the property line. So if we're gonna do a 300-foot setback, for solar panels, then I think we need to put in the same setback off the property line for any new houses in Cumberland County. Because if you're gonna regulate one, you need to regulate everything. That means no grain bins, no barns, no houses, nothing within a 300 feet radius of someone else's property.
What's the current setback now?
Well, 0 really, on the property line. There is a setback for roads, 65 feet, I think.
50 feet, 65?
I thought it was,
55 or 65.
I thought it was in the fifties.
Yes, ma'am. Terry, you got a comment?
In the contract, it states you cannot build any building that might cast a shadow on any panel. So you better just go through 300 feet.
You cannot what?
Build a building or anything that will cast a shadow on
Onto the panel.
a panel.
Well, that could be 300 feet pretty quick.
It's 300 feet or better.
Does that
Well,
make
it depends
sense?
on how tall a building you're building up.
Well, that's true. If you're building this underground basement.
Are you putting in a skyscraper or what are you
But see,
building?
another thing is, they put them in and you have a bin that casts a shadow on them. They have the right to remove that bin.
Grain bin could go 300 feet.
I don't believe that. Well,
Ain't
yeah,
no
I've
way.
You
never
want me to
read
go
that
get the
anywhere.
contract?
They can remove it on someone else's property?
No, that has to be on, maybe if I was it.
Yeah, okay.
I've worked through the contract, I have never seen that, but,
It would be poor planning on their parts to build it with their grain bin like that.
yeah.
They have never enforced it, but they have the right, if you, according to our lawyers,
Really?
they can do that.
Okay.
Once, if you're
But
the.
there are setbacks on those, like those the hog farms. What was it, who's the one that regulated that?
Illinois Department of Ag,
Department of Ag.
Department of Ag, yes, the setbacks on hog
It
farms.
says it's 300 feet.
No, it's maybe more. It's
No,
about
There may be one in that.
Quarter mile,
Quarter mile.
quarter or half mile, I think it's quarter mile.
But like I told another individual that's a hog farmer, I said, cause he brought that up too.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we're not really comparing apples to apples.
Sure,
One,
sure.
hogs make a lot of noise
Smell.
and they smell.
Sure.
I don't think you get too much noise out of a solar panel or smell.
I'm just saying that there are other setbacks other than just
Correct.
what we have. I mean, there's different setbacks, it's not.
Have you ever drove around a solar field?
I have.
You notice how far off the road they are?
Like that one at Kansas, how far?
It's off the road.
Like
Yeah.
300?
No, I don't think so. I think it's over maybe the 6,500 feet. I mean, I don't know what it is. But those people are getting paid till they ditch, but they don't solar panel.
Correct.
Really? Why don't they go out to the property line, do you know? Any particular reason?
Why don't they?
Why don't they?
I probably don't want them to get damaged either. Something would happen, I don't know, just guessing.
I wouldn't say it's because of any noise or smell or nothing like
No,
that.
that's not.
They might stay off of a property line, so if they have to go out and repair something, they don't have to go onto the neighbor's property to get access to the side.
20,
They
30
can just
feet.
drive around.
They can just drive the truck right up alongside. That's what my guess would be that.
They don't put them down waterways either, because they don't want them, they want them straight, they don't want a lot of wood to pipe.
Well, what do you think about that setback, guys?
So, if you're measuring from the center of the road, and then you go 100 feet back as your setback, how much is actually not the road in the ditch? How much is left? What is
Well,
it?
it depends how wide your.
Well, most
I
townships
figured
only
20.
have 40 feet right away.
I figured 20 feet off that, right? 20 feet from the center of the road.
20 feet,
20 feet from the
So
center of
40
the road each way,
so but you said
And-
40 feet,
40 feet total,
okay, so 20 on each
20
side.
feet each side,
From center
and then
of the
your
road.
electric poles are generally right at 21 feet.
Okay, and so then it'd be another 80 feet beyond that into your
80
line.
feet.
You have to get 100 foot.
Yeah, and that's what you're suggesting.
No, I'm suggesting 100 feet in between property owners, nothing to do with roads.
Oh, okay.
Because this is set back 300 feet in between property owners.
Oh, that's what, okay.
It says on all property lines or right of way. So
Yeah, so,
those are two different things. But
Well, the
it's-
second sentence says 300 feet from the primary structure.
right, 300 feet, so if someone builds a house, they want them to set back 300 feet. Well, again, you're restricting someone else from being able to put panels on his property because someone else chose to build right beside the dang line.
Or you're
Then they-
restricting the builder of the house to building within a distance of the solar panels, so both of them are being affected, aren't they?
No, there's no restriction on whoever wants to build. This is a restriction for the solar company only.
Okay, so if the solar farm is up there, somebody buys the land next to it, if they wanna build a house 50 feet away from it, it's no
They
problem.
can, yeah.
Okay.
And how would that work if they did build it right on the property line, and then they cast a shadow?
I don't
onto the
believe
land?
that, I've read our contract, there's
I
nothing
don't
about
know.
shadow.
I mean,
Wish I had.
I could see, I
Well,
could see,
yours may
I could
have,
see
but
that
what
being
I've
built.
seen
building
does
tower
not.
right next door, that'd probably be a problem. I've not heard, that's an interesting conundrum I've not heard. I just, as far as setbacks go, I think some setback is reasonable. I think that the big, if you're going bigger and bigger setbacks, it's just my perspective on that is that smaller landowners get hurt disproportionately if you've got massive setback, 300 foot. You could have, if you had a 600-foot wide circle, then you're left with nothing, right? Because
Right.
so I just, it seems like, and then the right of way, is that including just someone's driveway up into their house there? Are they having to put a 300-foot on each side of on right of way? Is that what that's
They
saying?
go by their property, the owner of the property has to stay 300 feet from the property line. I don't care about the driveway, it's gonna be smiles of the
The
driveway.
last time we talked about it, the agreement was the road district, or the road setbacks was what we were gonna stick with. Which, if the township is 55 or 65, then that's what we were gonna stick with, because the only reason they have setbacks on roads is for vision problems. When someone's pulling out,
Okay.
you wanna be able to look both ways and not have any traffic blocked by a building or a grain bin or whatever. That's the reason you got setbacks from your roads.
Okay.
But to add to that and have a setback down to people's properties, that's what this is. And if someone wanted to build here, and you've only got a 20-acre field here, and you're wanting to set back 300 feet, well, that's eliminating them a lot of money on solar panels, because they do not pay on non-solar acreage.
So should we differentiate the two, whether it's a property line or a right of way, and have different
No, I just see the same. I think, you want to put 100 feet on it, Kyle, you got probably 100 feet?
Well, I think we need to do the 100 feet here for property lines, but then in the road part,
That's what I'm calling right of way. But the road right of way, I guess is what we call it.
Road right away goes by the county's setback,
yes,
so we don't affect the road right away.
county setback, I think, is 75 feet. Townships is less, and the state's a lot more than that. State's like.
So you go with the road right away
That's what I would suggest,
and leave
to
it.
stick with the road, township road setbacks and the county road setbacks. And then anything else, go with 100 feet on the setback.
Terry?
I just think
That's
whatever's
30 yards.
greater than two, it'd be simplified. I mean, you see what you're saying, the same thing, basically, but simplified and say.
Well, are we gonna start building and reset our others too then, old houses and barns and stuff have to be set back?
I'm just saying.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is,
Solar farms, I would say if it's 50 feet, use 50 feet. If it's 60, I mean, just set a figure, go with it.
so instead of 100, just go with 55 throughout the whole thing.
No, I like 100 feet, except for where the road setback, they can, well, they can be closer than.
The existing setbacks apply for road right of way. The only difference would be a setback from property owners and existing residences. I think that's really what it comes down to. I think that we can agree to the existing.
Well, existing resident would be the same as property line. Because the existing resident would be on the property line, or back up, would be from the property line straight over. So existing residents would be covered with this 100-foot setback on property line. Right?
Yeah, they're not the ones being affected, it's the solar field that's being affected. They're the ones that have to move.
So the landowner's been affected then,
Yeah, the
because it's not
landowner.
making as much money.
Right, the landowner is, not the
Yeah.
not the residential owner. They're not being affected. So that's the 100 feet, and you're not changing the road right of way distance, so
Correct.
it's 75,
Whatever that distance is,
yeah.
the townships is different than the county, and
Yeah.
the county's different than the state.
So,
But
so leave those alone,
leave them alone. And sometimes, and I don't know if you haven't been on here long enough, but once in a while, we'll have a landowner come to the board through the county engineer and request to build closer to the road than our guideline. And we almost always give it to them as long as it's not a vision problem.
So existing, road right-of-way setbacks apply, and minimum setback for private property lines are 100 feet.
Yes.
Why would you want to set 100 foot from private property lines versus just a primary structure? Because then you're taking out a larger swath of land throughout the entire property owner.
And he does have a point there, it'd be,
Do it from a structure instead of the
from a
line
structure,
itself.
instead of probably not be a structure.
All right, well, what, but then, I think this came up, what if they built another structure later and then shadows your field?
You just will take that shadow part out.
Well,
So in other words, if you're talking Aaron'sville, if somebody has got a house 100 feet from their property line, you can build structure, you can build a solar farm right up to the, right exactly to the property line.
but they won't do that, in their contracts,
Because they wanna get around them.
they've gotta get around,
Just
they,
like what he
they
said.
still do a setback all the way around, whatever they
Well, they could be
lease.
20 feet from the line, 20 feet from the property.
Yeah.
Now you got a 20-foot setback.
Yeah.
Is that acceptable, 20-foot setback?
Well, you're good with 100. I think.
Well, currently, there's no
Well,
setback for corn or anything like that.
I'd say 100 on property line, that's my opinion, I don't know. This is 300, I would,
And now you're changing.
I am changing, because I didn't even think about that,
100 for the structure,
100 from the structure.
100 for the structure.
and from a property line, would be how much?
It just depends on the property owner.
No, you gotta have a number.
Depends on the
All the
structure.
property lines be treated the same.
You technically don't have to have a number.
Is maybe a compromise, you do a smaller, property line setback, but then you do a larger primary residence. So someone with an existing structure, if for whatever reason, they were a little closer to the edge, you know, it wouldn't apply to a building built, obviously, after, the project's already built. But anything that's existing right now, you could put a little bit larger of a setback around, but then, you know, you leave that, a smaller buffer space on property lines. I mean, as you know, they already need really a 20-foot
The
setback.
contract that I've read, it talks about, if there is a house close to what they're putting panels on, that they would work with that individual, say, in putting up, some type of barrier for trees, and if they're gonna put trees up, they're not too concerned too much about the shade in that particular area.
Well, they would move whatever panels
Yeah,
are
they'd have to
far
offset
away from the
more.
trees, yeah.
So really, that
Go to
setback's
Kansas,
gonna
none of
solve,
that's ever happened.
So,
that setback's almost gonna solve itself. You know, when you have adjacent landowners or residential, property owners, you know, because sounds like the solar farm isn't going to wanna build close to it anyway. So,
You're
100
giving,
feet.
you're giving them the opportunity to do that. Now, if you give them the opportunity, you can't come back and.
That's the way.
I say that we don't need to worry about property lines, I think we just need to worry about a setback from a structure.
structure, right, structure, that's exactly the word.
Yeah,
So
but if you don't do property line, and someone decides they wanna build a structure on their property later on, they might be, then you've got a structure here that, should have the right, their own property, they should have to put that structure anywhere they want to.
No, and that's not the issue, what the issue is if someone like Terry, that doesn't want panels up by his house, then we're giving them the courtesy that we're gonna set back a certain amount of distance. Now, if Terry wants to come in and he already knows there's panels here, and he's got land here, and he's gonna build his house, he builds his house close to that line as he wants. Because he already knows there's panels there, so we're not infringing on him.
Correct.
And that's what we're trying to do on the setback, is we're trying not to infringe on someone's property.
So say he already has a house.
Yeah.
So he already has a house on his property. Property Joe here wants to put solar panels now on his property.
Mhm.
So what Todd is saying is that if he wants to build a house there, that we say that there's 100 feet, they gotta stay back from that house.
That house has gotta stay 100.
That was already there,
Okay,
that structure.
okay, right.
And what Todd is saying is that if he puts in the panels first, and then Terry decides he wants to build a house, and if he wants to build up right next to the
Property line.
property line and up next to those panels, well, that's his call.
So we're not restricting
Right.
everybody,
Yeah.
like, we're not restricting the guy that wants to build a house.
Right.
We're restricting the panel,
If you don't want a house, solar panels right beside the house.
then he
can't-
wouldn't build it.
He can't build by the property line.
Exactly.
Well, he wants to build by the
Well,
property.
he can build by the property
Yeah, he
line, he
can.
probably just choose not to because he doesn't like solar
Cause
panels.
he wants to stand right next to it.
What, some people don't wanna, if they only own the land and,
And what if we wanna sell this property to some other person down the road 2 years from now?
well, they may not care if it's got solar panels on, they'll build their house right
Well,
beside it.
that could reduce the value of that property, because that property, that guy did not
It's
want to.
not gonna reduce the value of that
Solar
property.
panel right beside his property, he might wanna build a
Because
house.
somebody will probably buy it and put solar panels on.
That's not real good logic. I don't agree with that. No.
100 feet,
I don't agree with that.
100 feet
From a structure,
From a structure.
from a structure.
nothing else, on property line.
What do you think, Floyd?
I think I'll leave the property line. This is 300 feet from property line.
I know, but that was just something that was brought up.
Well, the structure can't be on the property line directly, it's gotta have 5 feet or 10 feet, you gotta be. able
Well,
to
yeah, it's gotta
run it.
be 5 feet away from the property
Yeah.
property line.
Yeah, so this will actually be farther than,
It's gonna be more than 5 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna want a decent amount of width to drive around. I mean, 5 feet, you can drive with a pickup truck.
Can't get a lawnmower around it.
Right, they're gonna want a decent amount of their own setback in there. That'd be between the property owner, that person, and myself.
I'd say 100 feet per structure, but nothing on property line.
Nothing on property line.
But in the contracts that these people have, they've already got setbacks.
How much?
That I can't tell you, I don't remember.
I'll guarantee it's not the same for all of you.
yeah, it's got.
And that's true.
Oh, every company different.
Aaron, do you remember reading anything on that?
In the contour of the property and.
Not offhand.
It was actually quite a bit. I was surprised how much.
That's how it is in Kansas, it's that way back.
And they pay half of the value, like if you're getting, $500 for an acre for panels, then they pay half, 250 for what's not under panels.
If they got a farm up there, Kansas, and this guy's got an 80 and this guy's got an 80, and they take both of them for solar, property line right here, do they do right up to the property line, or they just?
No, they
No.
go all the way across it.
They treat it as
there
one
is no
field,
line.
treat it as one field.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're the regional, okay.
It's just like if you was farming, and then you took on another 40 beside it, you know, you may just farm the whole field in
So
one
they don't
piece.
use a setback for property line.
No. 'Cause then
I'll
you-
have to go up there and look, but I think you're right, because I know as you're coming to Kansas, there's a 40 that works around the house. I think both the north and the south line, I would say that solar field's very close to those lines. I don't think it's very far. It's hard to tell when you don't know the community.
Yeah.
I was using Google Maps and the average one from a road was 62 feet and from a property line that went from a field to solar was less than 50. But I don't know how accurate Google is on it.
Could we put 50 feet on property line?
I
You
don't
say,
think we can put anything on
you
there.
say they're gonna have a drive along the edge of it, and they're gonna have almost 50 feet to start with, right?
Correct.
Only 30 feet to start with, so why not put a 50-foot setback on property?
Because what if two owners,
Say what?
are you gonna have restrictions in there, then the landowners can waive that then? Because,
You could say non-participating property lines, something like that.
because if you had two that were participating, then the last thing they wanna do is have to spread them with another fence. That's
Oh, you
actually
mean they
wrong.
put solar on both properties?
I'm talking about they would run a solar panel probably straight through,
Well, then in that case, they
and
could
there
have,
would be no setback.
then they would need a setback, they would have to come back.
But if you're wanting to put a setback in there saying that all property lines, then you're causing,
No, not all.
A restriction.
property lines.
You're hitting both of them.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like he
Yeah,
said.
you'd
I think-
wanna differentiate between participating
Yeah.
property lines and non-participating property lines. If you were going to do that, I think.
All right, you wanna word it again, Todd? So-
The only thing I really wanna word is 100-foot setback from a structure. We're gonna go back to the regular township setbacks and the highway setbacks for the roads, and 0 on property line.
You got that, Tim?
I'm checking for you. Already seen.
They're gonna use the regular
Well, the
township
Township and
setbacks.
county uses, they use that for this same setback as the county.
And I know I should have that memorized, but I
And then
don't.
nothing on the property lines.
Nothing on property line, okay?
And then 100-foot setback from structure.
Okay.
Because again, if somebody wants to build a house, then that's gonna be their choice. If they wanna build that close to solar panels, that's their choice later. But it will restrict anybody from putting panels up next to someone's house. That's the goal of that whole thing.
Okay.
Got it.
Got it. Okay. Knew where that change goes. So we'll do that. That change will be
G.
G on page, second page.
Second page, yeah.
G on the second page, setbacks, got it?
Other standards, G.
Okay. Anything else?
Have to walk that one off.
Yeah, that's setbacks. I need to set myself back a little bit.
Well, here's how I see it, is the least I want to regulate someone that owns farm ground or land of any kind, the better off we are. Because it's, where do you end? If you're gonna have 300 feet setback on property lines or 100 feet on property lines, then I don't want anybody farming that 100 foot next to my property. If you're not gonna allow me to have panels, I'm not gonna allow you to have corner beans. It's the same thing.
You know, that's being discussed.
I don't want chemicals within 100 feet of my property. I don't want, there's a lot of things. So where do you stop? My opinion, no regulation. I own it, I'll go do what I want to do with it.
All right, yeah.
What do you think of that, Terry? Property rights.
There's a lot of things in his statement. He excuse me for using herbicides and chemicals. I like to see us feed this world without them.
I'm
I like to see,
not
I like to
saying,
see anybody feed the world without energy.
Well, that's true.
I'm not
So,
saying,
again, double-edged sword.
I own farm ground, so I am not saying that I don't want them using it. I'm just saying, where do you draw the line? It's like gun control. They take a little nibble here, they take a little nibble here, and before long, we're not gonna have any guns. And same thing here, if the county board on this low level starts stair stepping, where does it end? Takes 6 board members that could just screw this county over in a heartbeat.
Why don't we just pass a zoning ordinance like Coles County to where you can't change a light switch in your house?
Cool.
Yeah, have to have a certified electrician. Where do you stop? That's what I'm saying. It's easy to stop by just not allowing us to.
Only thing I would say is I kinda like Floyd's 50 feet, but I'm not gonna give him up about it.
And with all of this even being discussed, if the state goes through, they're gonna trump everything that we.
Right.
Well, yeah, but we set an
It
example,
works now.
we
Right.
set an example for the state, so maybe
Yeah,
they'd follow,
I'm sure
they'd follow our
they'll
example,
definitely
Kyle, they would follow our example.
Absolutely.
They would give me a call,
Beth tomorrow.
Sure they will.
call the chairman of the board and ask
What
my
that
personal
committee
opinion.
say?
JV or not.
You ain't got no faith in Cumberland County people, we ain't got no clout at all. Anything else gonna change? I think that's good enough for me.
That's the only thing other than we've got to focus on this road.
Yeah, that road.
Stuff.
Dick's got any ideas by now, he been.
You're comfortable with the decommissioning?
Did we have in here, I know we've talked about it, but the 5-year
No, is that in there
reassessment,
somewhere?
That, I think, is very important to have in there.
So you're regulating the company, right?
6th, 11th, 20, 26, and 31 years.
Where you see
You're assessing, is that what you're talking about? Professional engineer shall assess and certify the estimate of decommissioning.
Yes.
So it's
That
at
was
the
it.
end, last sentence of paragraph A, on decommissioning.
Yep.
Just a little, when do you folks, or when does the county, what's his, engineer know when this project's gonna start? Somehow along the way, you folks got, I mean, somebody in here, hey, this project's gonna start, and then we wait till the first day they start drilling holes and punching holes, and hey, we better,
It's in here that they have to notify the county engineer, way ahead to evaluate and hire like this engineering firm. There's a lot of stuff in here that we're just not, I mean, you'll read it probably, but, that will be added whenever we're talking about the road part.
that's what I'm talking, I mean, you just, that's a great idea, I mean, I can give you an example this summer. See, they put a new power line related to solar near our, I mean, they rebuilt the power line, and they tore the blankety blank out, two pieces of road, they just,
Oh, yeah. And they will destroy the road. I know they will. I mean, the amount of
100%,
material they're bringing in, it's unreal. I mean,
especially in the middle.
when I was road commissioner, I could always tell when someone built a new house. Just the loads of concrete pumped the road every time.
I think their Kansas is right off of a highway, you don't really notice, that south road doesn't seem to be hurt, but I think it's right off the highway into them.
But I mean, like Spring Point and other counties, they still have some gravel roads and I know Dick will, guide them down certain roads that are gonna be,
They can only go on these roads.
yes, these are roads you're gonna be put on.
Right.
And if not,
Well, they can do like what they did in Tuscola, so if you get off on a side road, $5,000 per instance.
and we'll enforce
And
it.
they were definitely on it. When it came to finding the people that did it.
Well, I mean, this was many years ago, but, when the railroad would stop in Neoga, we nailed them several times, $75,000 a pop for sitting too long. It didn't take long to start doing something different.
Yeah.
Cause it's so much money per minute. And, we had the cops sitting there. Clock.
Okay, anything else, guys?
Not until we get the road stuff done.
You want it on the
Do you
agenda
see
for
anything else
Tuesday?
on the decommission? I know you was concerned about that.
No, I can move the decommission, it's pretty thorough, I don't know, what enforcement position we'll be able to have on it, because the bonding company is probably from New York City. But
And they'll go back up the truck with them.
I know, the words are in place, so we're probably as good as we can do, as far as decommissioning. I don't see where it specifically says that the installing company will work directly with the county engineer.
That's because he's not, he's supposed to be working with that independent engineer.
Okay, does it say anything about the independent engineer?
No, that's what we talked about putting into it.
We need to
Can
have
you
him,
get that in a minute, something about it?
I know, that was something
Yeah, I
the
know.
county engineer was supposed to be
Alright.
working on.
Okay, so we're gonna include.
We've got
that
to add
in
this
the
on to both of these.
Okay,
Right.
alright. Alright, so we're gonna change the setback, we're going to, have an independent engineer, and then we're going to,
Which that engineer will reassess
and
the
then the
roads.
roads, that engineer is gonna assess the roads.
Yes,
And is that the only, coordination and liaison that's gonna occur, is strictly between that engineering firm and, the installing company? Or will they deal with our engineer for some separate issue, or just as a courtesy.
The independent will work with our,
I think it's said independent,
is what it should be.
The only thing I saw with the engineer was public participation.
Yeah.
The financial insurance, and the roads.
so like I said, our county engineer will have say of what roads to use. I mean, weights and sizes, I mean, that's, you gotta get permits to do that stuff, so I mean, that's really not our territory.
And that separate engineering firm will handle that anyway. Right?
And then handle the detailed written road use
Yeah.
agreement, probably, and of course, you know, it says, approved by the county engineer in conjunction with the state attorney's office.
Yeah.
I don't know, I've really never have experience, I'm sure, obviously the other people have, but the line of work that you've done, Kyle, that, you know, people always had to get a bond and bid on certain things. Has anybody ever had to use their bond?
We never had to on ours, usually it's a failure.
I know,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, it's a
Yeah,
failure.
A
and,
failure,
uh,
other than that, no.
I don't know any of those guys.
I've had to get bonds for jobs, but like I said, I've never failed on the job, so.
Right.
The one time was on Sweden, some that failed.
I didn't know if you'd heard of others where a bond company had to hire someone like you to finish a job, or,
No, we never got hired to do it, no. But I did know of some that failed. I don't know what they did, but.
the bond company kicked in then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't looked over these remedies closely, but, I mean, I suppose we can do it. If this is a cut and paste on the existing one that you're comfortable with.
I think we're gonna have another committee meeting on this anyway.
Yeah. We gotta-
We've
we
gotta
gotta
get the
get
road
more.
stuff in there and
Wanna
Alright,
see what
good.
Dick
Hash.
has.
All right,
hash all that out.
so we don't have to decide anything, just,
I think not only the next meeting, we're just gonna have to wait until we have another meeting, and
So you're not, at the Tuesday night meeting, you're
I don't
not
think we're
voting.
really ready for
You're not
it.
gonna vote on it.
yeah, I don't think we are either.
I got on the agenda, we will just table it.
We need to, because we've got to get the road thing in here. That's, to me, that's the most critical thing of the whole
It's
thing.
very, very cool.
Okay.
Other than decommissioning, I mean, that's nothing
Yeah,
huge.
and it'll give me more time to read it, not under this.
Okay, that's fine, I just don't know, I got on the agenda, so, but we'll just do table it and we do.
Yeah, and like I said, the roads, on both these, wind and solar, so we gotta table both until we get,
Will it be the same?
it will be,
Could be the same.
yes.
Okay. So you don't have to.
Mary had something else.
No, maybe it's not really the place for that. Neoga, city of Neoga, the village of Neoga was discussing solar. Did they do anything about it, or?
They shut down anybody within their, radius, which was, I think, a mile and a half.
No, they actually
They
voted
shut
against,
it-
they
they
voted
shut it
against
down.
it, Terry. They voted against it. They were gonna build one right in town, they
Right
voted,
against the town.
Yeah, right by the school.
actually inside town,
Well, even one further out
yeah.
that had signed a contract for 30 acres got stopped because he was in a mile and a half radius.
Yeah, They voted it down.
So how would that work, I do have a question. How would that work if say a town wanted to, they approved the solar panel to go in their city limits?
Mhm.
The county can't do anything about it?
I guess not.
No.
It's kind of like
Probably not.
Just
city liquor license, everything else, we have no control over any of
Right.
that.
Like,
So it's from the city limits, is that what it is, a mile and a half?
yeah.
Mile and a half in the city limits, but the other way, a lot of towns the same way. I think.
And the thing is, what I've been told and what you guys have been told, what's true, I don't know, but, that particular solar company was actually gonna do something with the city on their electric, and it was gonna cut, based on what I've been told, a pretty good chunk of everybody in the town on their electric bill. So But not
I
only
want
did
that,
those,
I'd want that in.
not only did those board members hurt the landowners, but they also just hurt their own city people because they were gonna get a 20 or 25% cut in their electric bill.
You know,
Neoga is different than Toledo and Greenup though, because Neoga is a city versus the other two being villages. And Neoga is also under home rule, if I understood correctly, which sets a whole different set
Set of rules.
of parameters that they can operate under.
You learn something every day.
There is a huge difference between the city of Neoga and the village of Toledo. I mean, their laws are way different.
They have 4 commissioners versus 6 board members. And what they can do is they can basically operate like Chicago.
Those are 2 home rule counties in this state.
Well, I think Neoga got burned on that Beaker plant deal and that water deal, and then they're expecting a lot of money for their schools, and then all of a sudden they got sued and had to give money back, and so I think they're a little bit, skeptical about
Well-
what's coming in.
We're on camera, so I won't say that.
Is there anything else?
Nothing else, folks? No, okay, we'll tell you that at the meeting Tuesday night, and that's, we're all done. Committee meeting's over.
All right.
4:09.
Thank you for educating me. Thank you.
Back down to time.
Well, no, say about Neoga.
Hold on.
Then you wanna-